With 5 games left in the season, the Seattle Seahawks are due some good luck. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Victory Monday once again. We are here on the day after a big Seahawks win. Big mostly because we kind of had to pull it out. We had to really push things in order to get that one. There was a lot of stuff that happened in that game that should not have allowed for the Seahawks to win, but they did. But it's a big win anyway, because in a division that is still very tight, you need to keep winning if you're going to stay ahead of the pack, and that's what the Seahawks have done. They are 1 game ahead of the pack. So we're feeling good. We're optimistic, I think. Feeling like the playoffs are well within reach. But I want to talk about something going on with the Seahawks so far this season that might indicate, maybe, I want to be clear about this. If you've ever taken a statistics class, you know that just because things have been going a certain way randomly for an extended period of time, it does not mean things are due to swing back the other way. But there is something going on with this Seahawks team that I think is really interesting and needs to be understood when analyzing what is going on with the team and how you should evaluate players and coaches and even general managers. So we're going to talk a little bit about luck today. Before I get to that, though, I do want to say real quick, I did get to 19,000 subscribers yesterday. It was right after the game ended, so that's pretty cool. I said that I was hoping to get there by the end of November. We got there on the first day of December, so it all comes out pretty much even. That's really awesome. So we are continuing to grow. It's been a rough couple of months because the team has been inconsistent. They have been up and down, but 19,000 subscribers is something that I'm pretty proud of. We still have a chance of getting to 20,000 by the end of the season. Now, in order to pull that off, you're going to need the team to probably make a little bit of a run at things, even win a couple playoff games, but hey, if we're rooting for one good thing, why not root for the other good thing? So thank you, everybody who subscribed over the last day, and thank you to everybody who subscribed, period. If you subscribed 5 years ago, if you subscribed a year ago, whenever. So thank you for that. Wanted to go over that real quick. Now let's take a look at this chart put together by Tom Bliss on X. And what he's trying to do is quantify luck in football. Let's talk a little bit about luck, an underrated part of any NFL season. And we don't really like it when we talk about luck because it implies that there are things going on that we do not control, that the players don't control or the coaches don't control. But there's a lot of stuff going on in a football season that the players and coaches just can't control. So this dashboard here, and by the way, this dashboard is about 5 days old, so this is before any of the games played this week, week 13. So it does not include yesterday. It obviously doesn't include tonight because that game hasn't been played. It doesn't include the Thanksgiving games. So this is a week old. But that's also part of what I'm going to talk about in this video. They take a look at 4 categories that add or subtract, sometimes significantly, from a team's win probability that have very little to do with your team. And the 4 categories are dropped interceptions, basically when your quarterback throws a pass that should be intercepted and then the team drops it. That's luck, right? There's really not much you can do about it. If you throw a ball that should be intercepted, then it should be intercepted. And if the other team happens to drop it, great. That's just luck. Dropped passes, dropped by opponent, that's when the opposing quarterback throws an accurate pass to a receiver and they drop the ball without the influence of your defense, that's luck. Field goals and extra points. So outside of scenarios where you block a field goal or extra point, I think we all understand that when a team is lining up to kick a field goal or an extra point, they have a certain probability of making it based off distance and weather, and it's ultimately up to that team whether or not they make the kick. If the kicker misses the kick, and it's a kick that he normally makes, and he just misses it, it wasn't blocked or anything, that's luck. And then, this is maybe the biggest one, fumble recoveries. So, when there's a fumble in the NFL, and I understand that forcing fumbles is a skill, not fumbling when you have the ball is a skill, but once the ball is fumbled and it's on the ground or in the air or whatever, I think we all understand that whoever recovers it is pretty random. And in this case, yeah, random means luck. If a team is recovering 80% of fumbles in their games, then they're very lucky. There's no reason to believe that recovering fumbles is a skill. There just isn't. Especially with the way the football is shaped, especially with the way we know how it loves to bounce around. These are things affected by luck. And by the way, I don't think this dashboard here, this chart, encompasses everything to do with luck. I think that you could say injuries have to do with luck. I think you could say that something like interceptions on plays where the throw was good are bad luck. There are probably a couple other things as well, but just looking at this chart, looking at these 4 areas, which teams are the most lucky? You have the Chargers, you have the Commanders, you have the Browns and Cowboys, which is really sad when those teams aren't even any good. And then you have the Rams. So where are the Seahawks here? Are the Seahawks lucky? No, not at all. Not even close here. As of this chart being taken, the Seahawks were one of 2 teams to have a total of a more than 100% win probability lost on plays that involve luck. So if we go through the categories here, and by the way, at this point, they were literally a fraction of a percent, 0.3% ahead of Atlanta. So they're pretty much in last place. Seattle and Atlanta are by far the 2 unluckiest teams this year. They're very unlucky when it comes to dropped interceptions. What that means is when Geno Smith throws a pass that should be intercepted, it's getting intercepted, right? And then you contrast that with somebody like, what's a good example here? Oh, like Kansas City or Philadelphia. Or actually a big one here would be Stafford here with the Rams. They're throwing passes that should get intercepted. Actually, I guess the king here would be Watson and Winston in Cleveland. They throw passes that should get intercepted constantly, and then they get dropped. So when Geno makes a mistake, he's almost always paying for it. And I don't even think this includes the scenarios where Geno throws a accurate pass and it gets batted up in the air, like that first interception against the Rams where JSN bats the ball up after dropping it and it gets picked. That's not even here, I don't think. So negative 28% to the win probability on that. Dropped passes by the opponent. You can see that opposing teams are not dropping the ball very much against the Seahawks. We're losing about 10% to our win probability on drops, which, yeah, that stands up. If you think about the game so far this year, you think about opposing teams playing the Seahawks, you're not seeing a lot of opposing receivers drop passes, and the passes they drop are not that significant. The one area where the Seahawks are actually getting a little bit lucky would be field goals and extra points. So we're carving out a little bit of an advantage here. Teams are not hitting a high percentage of their kicks on the Seahawks compared to expectations. We actually gained about 15 or well, close to 16% in win probability on kicks and extra points this year. So that's good. That more than cancels out actually what we've lost in terms of dropped passes by opponents. And that would be fine if not for the fact that they get completely murdered on fumble recoveries. And by a wide margin, no team is less lucky on fumble recoveries than the Seahawks. When there is a fumble in a football game and the Seahawks are involved, their odds of recovering it, be it their own fumble or the other team's fumble, are very, very low. So we have lost 82 percentage points off our win probability total through the first 11 games of the year just on fumble recoveries. And to me, that is maybe the purest expression of luck. And the teams that are doing very well in this area, a team like Buffalo, a team like Minnesota, a team like Washington, those are teams that are having the ball bounce their way. And that ultimately makes up like almost all of their deficit. So, bottom line is the Seahawks, through 11 games, had been getting extremely unlucky, and they still had a winning record. They were still in first place in the division. And now let's think about yesterday's game a little bit. Let's think about that Jets game a little bit. All right? Dropped interceptions. We didn't really have any of those. I don't think the Jets really dropped any interceptions yesterday, so nothing there. Dropped passes by opponent. We definitely had some of those. I would say that of all the Seahawks games this year, the Jets probably dropped more passes that they should have caught than any other team we played. So, okay, getting a little bit of a trend in the right direction here. We blocked an extra point, and I think the Jets missed a really long field goal that was very unlikely for them to make it anyway, so I don't know if you want to put anything there, but not much change there. But fumble recoveries, there were 4 fumbles in that game, and the Seahawks recovered 2. Now, that's not even lucky. That's just neutral, right? 4 fumbles, you expect to recover 2 of them just on average. But what I'm trying to say is, in that game, you did see the worm turn a little bit, right? The worm turned, and that was a big reason why we won that game. If we don't get above average luck in that game, I'm just going to say it, we lose. So the reason why I bring this up is because this is something to look out for in our last 5 games. Cardinals, Vikings, Packers, Bears, Rams. Not an easy stretch of games, not necessarily a hard one either. It's a pretty moderate schedule to close out the season. But in the absence of elite play, because we have some really good players, we have some elite players, we have some guys that are playing out of their mind. I like more of this team than I dislike. But luck would go a long way in helping us win some of those games and finishing this season strong and winning the division. And while this does not, I don't want a gambler's fallacy anything. I don't want to suggest that we can expect good luck because we've had bad luck all year. Number one, we are kind of due for things to start to break our way. And beyond that, I mean, these things should eventually even out over time, right? And let's also point out that it's pretty impressive the team has managed to do what they've done despite being this unlucky. Even after yesterday's games, even after this week of football when this chart gets updated, the Seahawks are unlikely to have moved up very much, if at all, because they're so far behind. So the Seahawks have problems. The Seahawks have issues. They got things they got to fix. They got things they got to get better at. But let it be known, they've been very unlucky. And the fact that they've overcome that is something to commend them for. And the possibility of them not being unlucky the rest of the season, because, again, luck by its very nature is something that should be up and down. It should be something that is unpredictable. It should be something that could change at any point in time. That should give you some encouragement that this team is a good team. All right, I'm going to go and get out of here. A lot more videos to make later today. We're going to do snap counts. We're going to do Pro Football Focus. We're going to see if McDonald has anything illuminating to say about these injuries, but just something to think about. All right, everyone, have a good morning. Go Hawks. See you guys in 2 or 3 hours with more videos.